Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. January is Braille Literacy Month. To talk more about the state of Braille in 2023 is Natalie Martiniello. Natalie is the past president of Braille Literacy Canada, and Natalie joins us from my old hometown of Montreal, Quebec. Hey, good morning, Natalie. How are you?
Hi, Dave. Thank you for inviting me.
It's so great to chat with you once again. It's been a couple of years since we last caught up. Natalie, I know this question is big and broad, but I think it's a great place to start for people who may not be super familiar with Braille. How would you describe the state of Braille in 2023?
The state of Braille in 2023 and also looking ahead into the future is strong. It's just as irreplaceable and immovable as the place of print in the lives of people who are sighted. And it really is a symbol of equitable and accessible information and literacy. And so, as technology continues to evolve, we actually see increased access to Braille for all those who use it. So it's very exciting.
Natalie, dig a little deeper into that technological evolution, because for so long, Braillers were something that were either very expensive or very clunky to use. And now we've seen all these digital Braille devices. How is that impacting getting Braille onto the fingers of people all around the world?
Absolutely. Well, there's a very common misconception, which will be familiar to those viewers who are Braille users as well, that technology is replacing Braille. But of course, the opposite is actually true, because as technology continues to evolve, we actually have more immediate access to Braille through devices like Braille displays and Braille note takers that connect to our computers, to our smartphones, to our tablets. We can instantly access the same information that is visually displayed onto the screen. And that has really changed the playing field, because what that means is that when books and other published materials are developed into an accessible format, we have access to that reading content on the day that it's released with these Braille devices, rather than traditionally in the past when we've had to really wait for that to be produced through specialized services. So it's really changed access to information. And as these devices become more and more affordable, that will continue to be true. Also, at the same time, Braille transcription software has continued to become more and more sophisticated. So it's just streamlining access to information in Braille.
There's a long legacy of the importance of Braille within the community, and we know for so many people, as you've pointed out, it's strong. The state is strong. But as we continue to see demographic changes, what can we do to make sure that the future generations of people who may be born with some kind of vision loss, or younger people who are acquiring a vision disability, what can be done to make sure the literacy component of Braille remains strong, that we can give those opportunities for people to learn the codes?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a big and important question. And I think the first aspect here is to be aware of those misconceptions around Braille. And so we need to start by understanding that Braille is equivalent to print. So it really is fundamental access to literacy. And although technology is important and valuable and wonderful, it doesn't replace the importance of having access to spelling and grammar and punctuation. We know there's a lot of research out there that shows us, that tells us that people who use Braille are more likely to have higher levels of education, employment, and income. And that's not surprising, because the same is true for sighted people, that people who are literate have more access to these opportunities. So being aware of these misconceptions is the first aspect, because we would never consider whether a sighted child should learn print, but at times that discussion does happen in the world of Braille. Should a blind child learn Braille? So starting there. Now, for people, you're very correct in saying that the demographic is changing, because traditionally we've had so many Braille users who were born with a visual impairment. And today we're seeing more and more of this increased prevalence of adults who experience sight loss, and
Mm-hmm.
even older adults due to, different age-related conditions like macular degeneration.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the key here is to understand that even with access to all the other tools around you, Braille still really plays an important role. You can think about what role print played in your life before vision loss. And so that same Braille can play that exact same role, right? To identify items in your home, 2 cans of soup that feel exactly the same, to make notes for yourself, phone numbers, to give presentations where it might be more difficult to access that content through audio. So recognizing how Braille can enhance your independence after sight loss, that it isn't a symbol of disability, it's a symbol of independence
Mm.
and empowerment. And connected to that, ensuring that we advocate for equitable access to opportunities to learn Braille for adults across the country in every province. And that has to include remote areas as well, rural areas.
One of the really interesting threads to tug at is that much like any linguistic code, Braille continues to evolve. And last fall, Braille Literacy Canada endorsed the Mi'kmaq Braille code. We actually brought on one of the creators of that code onto the show to talk about that. What's the significance of the endorsement of that code and the evolution of Braille linguistically as we move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Braille continues to evolve alongside print. And this is a really exciting development for us in Canada, but I think just for Braille users globally, is that Braille is important and it's available in many languages, but we want to ensure that it's also available in underrepresented languages as well, including Indigenous communities. So the Mi'kmaq Braille Code was developed by a Braille transcriber from the Atlantic provinces named Christine Muse, and she worked very closely with members of the Mi'kmaq speaking community in Canada, including Dr. Bernie Francis, who is actually a native speaker of Mi'kmaq, and a linguist, as well as other blind linguists from the US and other areas as well.
Mm.
And it was endorsed and recognized and celebrated by Chief Terry Paul as well. And we're really excited about that because in addition to providing access to the Mi'kmaq language, and ensuring that blind users of Braille from these communities can preserve and learn and use their language, it's also a really valuable representation of working collaboratively, because you can't just create a new Braille code, right, in 30 minutes or less, right? You need to understand how the Braille code works, which is why it's great to have transcribers and other experts involved. But you also need to understand the language itself, the Mi'kmaq language. And that effort needs to be guided and led by members of the Indigenous community. And so that's really important to us. So it's actually the first um, Indigenous code to be officially endorsed in Canada. And in the US, we have some others as well, like the Navajo Braille Code as well.
I was beyond thrilled to speak to Christine about that process. I knew nothing about the actual process of creating a code, so it was a great opportunity to have a learning experience talking to Christine. It was super, super cool. Natalie, we know that January, being Braille Literacy Month, means that Braille Literacy Canada is very, very busy. That said, you guys are busy the whole year round. Where should people go to learn more about events you guys are hosting or other initiatives that are going on throughout the year?
Absolutely. So you can visit brailliteracycanada.ca for information about all our various initiatives, as well as events related to World Braille Day. You can also find us on Twitter at BRLLitCan, all one word, to have updates on a regular basis. But we are collaborating with several other organizations throughout the month of January to celebrate World Braille Day and Braille Literacy Month, which is officially recognized as an official day of commemoration by the United Nations. And we have a variety of different virtual events throughout January. Actually, the first one is today, all about strategies for learning Braille in adulthood. We have another one next week in French about the impact of Braille in the lives of those who use it. On the 21st, we have a really exciting celebration, we're calling it, a variety show. So with music and poems and stories, all to celebrate Louis Braille and World Braille Day. And then on the 25th, we'll be having a conversation about the role of Braille at the post-secondary level. And there are also a variety of different activities that you can download and games to play with students who use Braille. So definitely check us out on brailleliteracycanada.ca to learn more. And this event is free and open to anyone who would like to join us.
Natalie, it's been too long since we last chatted. Let's make sure we get together more often than every couple of years. Thank you for making time for us today. And
thank you so much.
And enjoy the celebrations. That's excellent. I love that. Take care.
Thank you.
Natalie Martiniello is the past president of Braille Literacy Canada. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI.TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI.TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen.